Welcome back to We Move Through Stormy Weather, a podcast by Storm Sound and Osiris Media. My name is Ryan Storm, and today I'm really excited to be joined by the All's Eye Trio. All's Eye is a newly formed group of musical equals, creating an unmistakably original sound. Bringing together three of the hardest working artists on the scene, the collective talents of guitarist Ari Joshua with Ben Atkind on drums and Kris Yunker on keys are on display in a refreshing way. They come together to play the omniverse of jam band, rock and roll, and jazz music, from boogaloo, funk, organ, soul, all the way to heady, epic arrangements, and everything in between. Gentlemen, how are you today? Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Doing well. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah, was really excited, recently when, the announcement came out that you guys were forming a band here, because obviously I haven't seen all of you play live, but I've heard all of you play in various configurations. So I was excited to see how things were coming together and hearing what's been coming out. And, you guys got the tour coming up, just got even more excited. And I wish I lived in New England so I could catch a show this week. But we're here to talk about the band. So let's get started. How did this band come together? Let's go back to the first time the three of you played together.
So I just met Ari relatively recently. I played in an old band with Kris that you guys are probably familiar with. So it was great reconnecting. But basically, I think Ari reached out saying that he had some stuff he wanted to do. And he wanted to go to the studio and play a couple gigs with me and Kris. And I had heard of Ari, but had never met him, and checked out his website and saw these recordings that he's done with MMW and all these epic players and just really killing stuff. So was down for that. And basically the three of us met in a studio at Carriage House in Connecticut. Really epic, legendary studio. And we went in there and we just busted out 20 something tracks in a couple days, and just had this awesome week of recording and a couple shows, and had a blast doing it. And now trying to keep that momentum going forward.
That's awesome. So when you recorded all these tracks, that was the first time you guys had ever played together?
Format, yeah. I had played with Ari separately before.
We played in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And had a really kind of a magical night. We had a lot of this chemistry, and then afterwards we're talking about just some ideas of I was talking about some of the things I want to do. I mean, actually, I was. I think also a part of it has to do with that podcast from Colorado.
Oh yeah,
the All That Jam.
Yeah.
They had known you, and I was doing an interview with them, and then they said something about, hey, you should find a drummer and and get your thing out there, and then your name came up as a possibility, and it kind of that was just kind of they kind of just all manifested from there. It seems like.
Oh, yeah. That's really cool. Love when things come together like that. So given that you guys had never played before, how did you approach writing these songs? Because, there are a number of instrumentals here. There are a number with vocals. How did you approach the writing process for this? And did you come into the session having already written the songs, or was it blank slate, we're going to come up with things on the fly here?
A mix of both. Ari would just point to Ben or me and be like, hey, play something cool. And we'd play it. And then all of a sudden a song just started forming. But you had a bunch of tracks that you'd already.
I mean, I'm always writing. It's kind of what I like to do. And I always have a cache of ideas and songs kind of on deck. And then you never know when I'm going to pull them out. And we would kind of make up our own song, and then we would record that. And then it would be well, what are we going to do next? And I might have an idea, and I'm that seems like a good idea. And I'll just pull it out. And some of the stuff I had that we recorded, already kind of thought of, but a lot of it we just made up together.
Yeah, a couple of the songs he had full arrangements and compositions, but most of them, a lot of them were just a riff here or there, or a section, or like Kris said, he would literally just be play this, and then we'd be oh, this is cool, cool, let's come up with a B section, and all of a sudden these songs just started coming together, just one after another.
Yeah, that's awesome. Listening to the instrumental stuff. Ari, I know you just released a song with Medeski and Martin, and there was definitely that MMW vibe to some of the All's Eye stuff, which, I mean, I love a good organ trio. And I mean, this is also a unique configuration for an organ trio per se, because usually with that you have bass, drums, and keys. And here you have, drums, keys and guitar. Kris, from your perspective, how did you come into these sessions knowing that whether you had somebody, playing on the studio track, when performing live, you're going to be responsible for the bass as well as the lead keys parts?
Oh, it's second nature. It's something I've been doing for a long time. I cut my teeth on listening to the Doors when I was younger, and just like, oh yeah, a keys player holds down bass. And then, I've been in like my band On the Spot trio. I was an organ trio with bass, and then Alan Evans trio, from the drummer from Soul Live. That was the same thing. So it's second nature to me. It's like my home.
Awesome. Have you ever played in a band like with the guitar as well, or just with the?
Yeah. That's generally like the format I'm used to, is a trio with guitar, drums, and keys.
Awesome. When you guys were in the studio writing these songs and recording them, did you have other people coming in and contributing to the compositions, or playing on any songs, or was it just the three of you?
No, it's just the three of us.
Except for the one at Chris's studio.
Oh, yeah. With Kris, with another bass player. That was
the
great.
6/8 song.
At the Carriage House Studios, it was just us as musicians, but the engineer, what's his name? McLeod was the fucking man.
Yeah.
And that was just such an awesome vibe working there.
That studio was a really good place for us to connect for the first time, because there's like 3 or 4 bedrooms upstairs, so you can sleep there, and you can wake up in the morning and your stuff's all set up. And then the guy who owns the studio has a house like, maybe 100 yards away or something.
Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. And he's like been there since the 70s. And it's just like you wake up and you're ready to create. Really cool.
And we got there and he's like, the session before you guys was John Dinsmore of the drums with like somebody that used to play with Miles Davis. So he's
Adam Holtzman, who was my teacher in college.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Johnny's got some cool stuff happening over there.
Yeah, I mean, like just coming up was Warren Haynes was like the next up person after us.
Oh yeah, he had rehersals there
rehearsals
after us.
Yeah.
That's sick. Going in, did you guys have a goal for the music? Did you say like, we want to do 10 tracks, we want to do a few vocals? Did you have a goal for what it was going to become, or was it again just like let's get together, play some music, and see what happens?
I would love to hear what these guys say, but for me, I try to always like when I go into a situation, like over prepare in a way and think about like all the things that maybe could happen, and then do as much preparation as I can in all those areas. But then when I go in, try to let go of my expectations as much as possible. So it's kind of like preparing, but then also letting go and because sometimes the thing that might organically happen might be like 10 times cooler than the thing that you planned.
Right.
And that's the thing I've learned from like working with a lot of people that are better than me. Is that there's something that happens that's magical, that, it's almost like, I think the coolest thing that can happen in music is when you kind of mix DNA, which is like kind of how life works too, right? Like when you create new life, you're mixing DNA. So like, I like to think of like you want to make room for everybody, to bring their piece. And then, but all I can do is prepare my piece. But so I had a bunch of ideas, but I tried to let go, and I think it worked out really well. But I'd love to hear what these guys say too.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear from both of you, Kris and Ben, on this.
I had no expectations. I knew I was walking into a sweet studio with a couple really good musicians, one guy I had never met before, and I had no idea what the goals were besides make some cool music. And it was really fun and easy, and I think we made some good stuff. So it exceeded all of my expectations because I had absolutely none.
Yeah.
Kris, what about you?
Yeah, kind of similar to like both of them. I knew he had some tracks that he had in the works, and that our goals were just to like create whatever we could create in the moment that we were there, basically.
I love it. And so obviously you've mentioned, or we've kind of touched on the Medeski, Martin, and Wood kind of vibe on some things, but I want to hear from each of you again. What would you say are other stylistic influences or similarities that kind of you hear in this music?
There's a little bit of like Fish happening too, like jam band world.
Yeah, definitely some of that like dead, fishy, jammy.
Allman Brothers.
So yeah. I hear everything from like New Orleans funk.
Oh yeah, there's some of that.
To jammy stuff and kind of everything in between.
And like like one of the tracks kind of sounds a little like New Master sounds, I'd say, like meters.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the So I think reminds me a lot of like Dave Matthews, especially in Ari's vocals too.
You've always had that in your drumming too. A lot of Carter. So
There's my guy.
Ari, what about you? Anything to add there?
I think for me, if you went down the rabbit hole and like listened to the music that I make and kind of where I've been coming from, I love playing jazz and I love playing like orchestra. I like playing like old school instrumental stuff. But there's a piece of me that's always resonated also with like, you know, Jerry and Trey and wanting to resonate with like bigger amounts of people. So making music that can resonate with a bigger audience. And that piece of me has like always been there. And what's exciting to me about this lineup is that I can both explore like the places where my roots come from, which is the jazz side of it. But that like there's also this great potential for you know, like songwriting with lyrics and storytelling, and with people that like also have a vocabulary to pull that off. Because a lot of times you play with jazz guys and you know they can't really play rock, you know, or you play with rock guys and they can't play jazz. But in this situation, we're really everything's fertile ground. You can kind of plant seeds anywhere, and you're going to get nice fruits.
We like nice.
Okay, let's go down the line. Favorite nice fruit?
Oh, definitely guava.
Guava.
Man, I like so many different fruits. Watermelon.
Ooh.
Watermelon. Ben.
I'm gonna go mango.
The fruit potato.
Oh yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Where does the
You know that?
What's that?
Is it?
No, that's apple. I think.
It's
He's changing it.
it's not a potato. It's just now we're thinking about potatoes. Now maybe I'm thinking about potatoes.
You're always thinking about potatoes.
Interview's over. I can't focus now. You brought a potato.
We're gonna take 5 so Ben can go make some potatoes.
Yeah.
Where does the name the Allseye Trio come from?
I think I was even mentioned, like I was talking to Chris in New Orleans, like when we were talking, and I was like, if I had a group that was like this is like a name I was thinking of or something like that. And it started kind of came out there and it was just brewing, but something I thought about. But, you know, also like to me, I think of like right now with AI becoming this huge thing that's kind of taking over everybody's mind share and reality. Like I think AI is just spectacularly amazing in so many ways, but there's nothing bigger than like the actual real Allseye, you know, like in other words, it's like there is AI, but then to me, like the alternative. And I think that music to me, because I teach kids music lessons, you know what I mean? And like, I think that like music is like the antithesis of like swiping and scrolling and being part of an algorithm. You know, when you play music, you're really connecting to something that's bigger. And so, I mean, in a way, like kind of like think it's a little bit of that, you know, like a little bit of just like connecting to the source and just like a nod to the source, you know.
Love that. Yeah.
But,
anything to add, Chris and Ben?
I mean, all I can say is, yeah, no, I don't have a comment. That was it. I had to make.
That's all.
That's
all you can say.
I had to. I'm sorry.
You got to keep a cocktail kit with you when you do something like that, so you can hit like a rim shot.
I do. You're right. Noted.
Next time.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have a single coming out very soon. West Hill Road. Tell me a little bit about that one and why you picked that as the first one to release.
It's named after the road that the Carriage House studio is on. Which that kind of happened in the studio. We'd like finish recording and then, you know,
what's this one called?
Yeah, McClee would be like, "You got a name for this?" And then
someone would be eating spicy noodles.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, this song's spicy.
I mean, I think it was literally like, we got to order some food. Well, what's the address here?
Yeah.
21 West Hill Road.
Yeah.
All right, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's good. I noticed there was some interesting names of other songs on the album. So I'm glad to know the genesis behind that, because those pretty good. Talk to me a little bit about the song itself. You know, what stuck out to you guys as it, you know, wanting to make it the lead single?
I think Kris started mixing, you know, a batch of songs at home while you know, his versions of them. And we weren't really necessarily going to make those the final mixes. And we had talked about having Alan from Soul Live do some mixes potentially, because he's works intimately with him. And he's just great at what he does. But then he sent me a mix, and, you know, I'm just like going into the studio like 2 or 3 times a week at least. And so I'm going to start overdubbing. So because he sent me the mix and he added his keyboard parts already. which were really cool. He added these really cool parts. So I added these parts at my friend's house, and then sent them back. And then he made a mix of those. And then we were like, should we get it mixed or should we just have it come out? And he played it for Alan, and Alan said it was a good mix. So he just mastered it just as it is. But it's got a lot of layers in there. It's very layered.
Yeah.
It's super.
I don't know, it just stood out to me the most whenever I was fishing through all the stuff we'd worked on, and as like the instrumental that stood out to me the most. So I was like, hey, let's put this one out first. I like it.
I didn't know about the Alan Evans like seal of approval, but if it's good enough for Al, then I feel excellent about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the song itself sounds like it's like it's an organic being that's like living and undulating, and it's got these like fuzzy edges to it. It could be like a little creature or something.
It is the All's Eye.
Smoke more weed.
I mean, everything is. I'll smoke some more weed someday.
Someday. So you guys noted that the album's going to be released as a series of singles over the next 6 months. Can you speak on the decision to do it like that rather than, drop it all as one album?
That's pretty much the like standard these days. It seems like,
yeah, fair.
It's better for the algorithms, and I don't know. I really liked the old, I have a whole album kind of thing, but it just seems to kind of be the way to do things these days. Order of operations.
Yeah.
I think also like people who aren't musicians, if anyone's listening, just it's hard for them to relate to just the amount of sheer amount of work that goes into making an album, and the financial commitment that it takes. I mean, like if I'm gonna make an album the way I want to, it's gonna take me hundreds and hundreds of hours of work, and like tens of thousands of dollars potentially, and so just to do one track, it's like it's affordable, and you can do it in like a week's worth of work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can kind of if I could freeze time, then I probably would do an album at once. But
yeah, is there a track, not West Hill Road, and without spoiling what that track is, but give the name so people can refer back to this in 6 months? Is there a track that you guys each are most excited for people to hear?
Definitely, but I can't tell you right now because we did too many songs in too short of a time, and I don't have my head wrapped around which song is which title yet. But I will by the shows next week.
I definitely dig. I'm really digging the song "Inside Out."
Oh yeah, yes.
It's the one we recorded at Chris Ball's studio, and he's on that track. And we had no idea. Ben and I had no idea what it was going to sound like after, but like Ari added vocals to it. And
so here, look at this list and see if there's one that we have a list. The list is long.
The list is long. There's a lot of songs.
Yeah, there's like 20 songs.
I think Inside Out is definitely up there. Monkey Song, probably Monkey Song. Monkey Song has this rise, this lift part that's like, I don't know, it gives me chills every time. It's like
it's a good happy hippie dancing song, that one.
We do love happy hippie dancing songs. All right, well, you guys are heading out on tour this week. You played a couple of shows, as you mentioned, right after you recorded the album. I guess those were your first time performing together. So let's talk about those a little bit. You guys came right out of the studio and played a couple of gigs earlier this year.
Yeah, one of them was my funk night that I had been doing at the Stone Church. That we had Neff Rock on that, and Matt Dolliver as well. And that was just like a funk night. We did a lot of covers. I think maybe we did a couple of originals, but they were like your originals. The second show we did was downtown Brattleboro, Vermont, for the gallery art walk outside event, and
that's that poster back there.
Yeah. And,
ooh. All's Eye.
Yeah, see it. See it.
That one we presented a lot of the new material along with some of Ari's material, and I think some of my material as well, and a few select covers.
Awesome. Well, how are you guys approaching this tour? You're doing 4 shows in New England. What was the decision like? The timing, the picking the locations. Like, was it just like here are 4 places that are available that we can play, and we're all available in this week?
Well, we took our astrological charts and we overlaid them like in a see-through kind of way, and we run them around a few times with our
The
eyes.
All's Eye is most present in those 4 places at those 4 times.
The various star formations like landed exactly on the map where these venues are.
They actually use the same technique in National Treasure 3 that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
We wait for the All's Eye to like come in and actually like move its iris at the location of like
it's a little bit. There's a little bit of a discrepancy. Like he might think it's pointing like a little bit west, and I'm like, no, it's definitely centralized. But we eventually just kind of you got to just compromise and eventually say like, yep, that's where the eye's looking.
Yeah, I think what Ari tried to say is we're definitely not involved with the Illuminati in any way.
No, except for if they want to give us cash, which they can deposit. Account 4,
Well,
5, 3,
that's
6.
good to know. If you don't like the Illuminati, go see the All's Eye Trio. That's the selling point here. What are each of you most excited about for this upcoming 4-show run?
I'm making a lot of money from Illuminati.
I'm excited to get out there and have some fun playing with these guys. It's like these rooms are all like, I haven't played a lot of these rooms in a while, and the way this band has been vibing, just like even in between working on the songs, jams, like it's been gelling really well, and I think it's going to be fun to take that out and get to experience that with other people in the room, like we have been doing just in my studio at home here.
Yeah, I mean, like anytime you play live for people, you have the potential to like catch that spark, that like fire, that inspiration, that magical thing that happens in the moment, which it can be captured in a studio and it can be captured in a rehearsal with just the players. But when you have people that are participating and kind of like watching, seeing, in the room, there's just a therapeutic element to that. It's always nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, for people who live in New England, the dates are November 20th at the Stone Church in Brattleboro, Vermont, 11/21 at Zen Barn in Waterbury, Vermont, a TBA show on November 22nd. That one's exciting. November 23rd at the Main Pub in Manchester, Connecticut, and November 24th at the Sanctuary in Maynard, Massachusetts. Is there any venue? I know you guys have played these venues before. Is there anyone in particular that you guys are excited to be playing at?
I gotta say, I played the Main Pub like a few months ago with the DJ Williams band for the first time in like 7-8 years, something like that, and I was pleasantly surprised. Everyone working there not only was awesome, but man, the food, the salmon. Get the salmon. It was like, I was not expecting that. Very high quality food and good vibes, and it's an hour from home, so
even better.
Yeah, win-win.
Yeah,
I'm excited to play the 2 church gigs, the Stone Church, because that's like my home turf, and I've done a bunch of shows there with my funk night. I love it there. They're great. Really nice room. But the Sanctuary in Maynard is a church as well, and I haven't played there yet. Out of all the venues, that's the one I haven't played at. So I think I'm most excited about that, to check it out. I've been hearing a lot of good things about it. And actually, my other band, Barely Dead, is doing a Christmas show the day of Christmas at that church.
In a church. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Will there be a congregation?
Yes, but they a congregation of Illuminati worshipers.
Ah, got it. That's a private gig for the Illuminati.
It's actually
it's open to everybody, especially if you want to join the Illuminati.
Got it. That's the place to be.
Illuminati is what we're talking about, and Illuminati is ill. Illuminati is not well. Illuminati is ill. Illuminati, and so we're coming in.
But it's a good flavor, right?
Well, we have the recipe with our music to heal the Illuminati.
It's good to know. Ari, is there one of these venues in particular that you're most excited to play?
I mean, the most exciting for me to play so far is Ben's garage. It's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. That's just.
I'm really proud of him. He's soundproofed it, and like no neighbors will hear what goes on in there. And it's a nice little setup, and I think that's the highlight.
Yeah,
That's
we're gonna
the
make a lot of music, a lot of content in that studio with these guys and with a lot of other people. I'm very excited about plans with that room.
Amazing. Well, it's a good segue into talking about the other projects that you guys have going on, because all three of you are quite busy. But let's start with you, Ben. Where else can people see you or hear you?
Yeah, definitely Elephant Proof. We just released a single featuring Jason Hahn on percussion, and very pumped about that. That band has been like a side project for many years. I was in that band before I ever met my old band, and now that I'm here with the availability, I've kind of built up a team around it, and we just played Halloween, and we've got a lot of more content in the works, more songs coming out, and definitely planning on booking a bunch of shows next year.
Awesome. Big fan. If you haven't seen Elephant Proof, there are a few bands that are more fun to see.
Appreciate
Highly
that.
recommend. Chris, I mean, you mentioned Barely Dead, but
Yeah, the Barely Dead has been full swing. We got a winter tour coming up called Run for the Roses. We're going out to the Midwest and a bunch of shows in the area. A New Year's gig. We're opening up for Pink Talking Fish in Portland. So check out the calendar for that. A lot of good stuff happening. An announcement coming soon of a new bass player. I can't really say too much about that, no, actually, like, because of this guy, last time he came out, he took me down to Billy Martin's for a recording session after the one we did with Ben, and
They upgraded.
It's just side graded.
lateral shift.
Yeah, lateral shift. Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah. And no, it was such a fun session. And then Billy hit me up recently to do a concert for Creative Studio in New York City with me, him, and Joe Russo. It's like a drummer keyboard trio thing happening December 11th.
Oh,
I'm pretty excited about that.
And also, just real quick, for people that don't know Barely Dead, in a world of like a million dead bands out there, I have to say that like very clearly my two favorite dead bands that aren't related to members of the Dead are J-Rad and Barely Dead.
there we go.
They've been killing it for a while. As a Boston guy, they used to play every week. They had a residency, and it was the best.
Yeah.
So
it's fun to be a part of that crew. They're awesome. We've got Faux Russo on the drums.
Oh, he looks like Joe a little bit. Yeah.
Tyler Brooks.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's great.
That's good. Ari, what about you?
Well, just to segue on his what he was saying is I got to play a night with Barely Dead at a private party on their tour, and it was kind of like a private sort of a psychedelic evening at a house, and it was really nice to stretch out. So it's really like I can vouch for the quality of what they're doing. But as far as me, well, I mean, I have a music school, the Music Factory, and I spent a lot of time kind of making sure that that's thriving. We have a couple hundred kids a week that are learning instruments there, and I'm trying to bring it to like an online forum, so like people could sign up for lessons online as well. That would be a way to support the music things I'm doing as well, so if people like my music, then they can sign up for lessons for themselves or their kids or whatever. But having said that, there's also a label, the Music Factory label, which is what this music is kind of getting put out under. And as part of that, I'm spending a lot of time in the studio with a lot of projects. I have a lot of recordings and a lot of music. I wouldn't say I'm playing a lot of shows like that. I have anything coming up. I do have a bunch of local shows, but I have just put out a track, Cherry Peach, with John Medeski, Billy Martin. And that one was produced by my friend Jeff, who's the guitar player for the Indigo Girls, and Duff McKagan. He's on tour with Duff McKagan now. He really helped me put that recent track together. And I've got stuff with guys from Ran Russ from Trey's band, and a long list of other all-star players, which I would encourage anyone to just go to my Spotify or my Apple Music or my website and dig into, because probably most people haven't heard of me. So that's a good way to discover it. And but just in general, I'm just really excited about making music, and I'm really excited about playing with these guys. It's like really a dream come true situation for me, having lived on the East Coast and really love the East Coast. And I know that the audience for this music is out here. So.
Yeah, amazing. Well, looking forward to seeing, some videos and whatnot from your guys' dates this week, next week, whenever. I don't know what day it is. Really excited to see what happens on this tour, and really excited to hear the rest of the music. And I'm sure everyone else is, because it's going to be awesome. Just to refresh everybody's memory, here's where you can catch the All's Eye Trio coming up later this week and this weekend. November 20th, Stone Church in Brattleboro, Vermont. November 21st at the Zen Barn in Waterbury, Vermont. November 22nd, stay tuned. November 23rd, the Main Pub in Manchester, Connecticut. And November 24th at the Sanctuary in Maynard, Massachusetts. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure getting to hear, the genesis behind the All's Eye, learning that you guys may or may not be part of the Illuminati. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. So everybody go check out the All's Eye Trio. Give them a follow on social media so you don't miss anything that's coming up. Get ready for the new single. Get ready for the tour. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of We Move Through Stormy Weather. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you next time.